Hi everyone, Big J72 here, and tonight I want to talk to you about something serious for a change instead of video game playing or cricket snack eating, whatever I usually do. I'd like to talk tonight about something that's afflicted me since I was about 9 or 10 years old, and that is pure OCD and harm OCD. Now, for those of you who might be watching that have this affliction, like myself, some of what I'm going to talk about may be triggers for your anxiety. So please take note of that. And for those of you who might think you're afflicted by this, you can take some precaution too if you think you might be affected in any negative way by hearing about my experiences regarding this. I wasn't properly diagnosed with pure OCD, or OCD really, but what I have is pure and harm. And I wasn't diagnosed correctly until I was in my late 30s, and I am now 41. I've been in and out of therapy starting when I was 16 years old. I thought it was just general depression, and all of the psychologists, psychiatrists, licensed clinical social workers didn't tell me any differently. That might have been due to me not going into everything explicitly, although my first round of therapy I certainly did. So I'm not sure why it took so long, but it's not uncommon for that to happen with people with this. So in case you don't know, pure OCD centers on mental obsessions and compulsions instead of physical ones. Like, a lot of people, when they hear OCD, they think it means somebody who washes their hands 1,000 times in a row, or has a counting ritual, or has to make sure the oven's always off and all the lights are off before they go outside, and that sort of thing. Pure-O revolves mainly around what's known as intrusive thoughts. These thoughts are usually things that normal people can shrug off very easily. Things like, oh, what if I drove my car into the guardrail? What if I hit this person standing next to me? Stuff like that. What if I killed myself? What if I hurt somebody else? For someone with Pure-O, these thoughts don't go away easily. You just sit and ruminate over them over and over and over, day after day after day. The intrusive thoughts are always there. You wake up and you think, God, are they there? Yep, they're there. And try as you might during your day to distract your mind, it always feels like they're there. Now, I have it mildly. Not to say my flare-ups aren't intense when the thoughts come. They're a pain in the ass. I have pure/harm OCD. Harm OCD being more centered around violent thoughts, hurting myself, hurting others, and it's always what-if scenarios. As I mentioned before, what if I took a knife and plunged it into my chest? What if I did the same to my family and my friends that I loved? What if, I drove my car into that pedestrian over there? Just really horrible, scary things that you wouldn't do, and you won't do. 99.9% people, from what I've read, that suffer from this do not act out on their fears. Usually because people with this condition are, they're not predisposed to violence and and those sort of things. So the problem is the thoughts get stuck in a positive loop, and since it's an anxiety-based affliction, you just have all this adrenaline building up inside you, which fuels the thoughts as well. And there's nowhere for the adrenaline to be released. So you're walking around all day just amped and nervous and scared, and it can be hard to talk to people about, because it can be scary. And what goes through a lot of people's minds while they're having these thoughts is, I don't want to talk to someone because I'm afraid they're going to think I'm nuts and put me away in a mental institution, or they'll call the cops on me, or something like that, something very, very severe. But this isn't the case. There are a lot of us, tons of us, millions, who knows, just lots and lots of us out there that suffer from this. And you don't have to be scared to talk to someone about it. As I said, I was in out of therapy since I was about 16, and not constantly. First time was when I was 16. Then all this stuff lay dormant in me for years, and I didn't go back in until it might have been my late 20s when I went back to see a therapist, when the stuff started bugging me again, and then again a couple times in my 30s. What led me to find the person that diagnosed me correctly was when I stopped having intrusive thoughts about myself. What if I killed myself? What if I did whatever? And they became about people I loved. That scared me. That was really scary. So I checked myself in to the ER at a local hospital, and talked to a psychiatrist there, and she suggested I check myself in voluntarily to this week-long whatever you want to call it, week-long session to discuss this with other doctors and whatnot. So it was this group thing, and I lived there, this place, for like a week. And when I got in there, I immediately thought, what the hell am I doing here? Because everyone else there seemed to really, really have some issues going on, whether it be schizophrenia, or they were abused, or just severely depressed. It was very eye-opening. In some ways, it gave me comfort to think that I wasn't, losing my mind. And in other ways, my heart just went out to everyone who was there in the ward that I was. And a lot of them we'd be talking, and they'd say, well, what are you doing here? You seem fine. And that's the thing about this pure OCD, is that you can be functioning, and you can look like, nothing's wrong, even though in your head, something's not right. And people can't spot it. And that's because sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of shame, sometimes just out of confusion. But there's nothing to be ashamed about, and there's nothing to be afraid about when you have this. But anyway, I went through that week-long stint at this place, and I was then hooked up with a psychologist. And when I went to him, the first thing I said is, I'm just going to lay it all out here. I don't care how crazy it sounds. I want to get to the bottom of what's wrong with me. And so I told him, what started, when I was real little, and worked my way up, and how I had these, these thoughts that just bugged me. that would eventually go away. And he said, well, I think you have OCD. And I said, what? Because, you know, I thought it was just about, you know, the hand washing stuff or the counting or any of that. I had never heard of purely obsessional OCD. So when I thought back, and, you know, it was like a light came on. And I could think back, and I did have some rituals when I was younger about closet doors being closed in my room, and sometimes I would, you know, leave my bedroom and I didn't turn the light off right, and then I would go back and do it until I felt like I got it right. Now the thing is, I did have those rituals when I was younger, but I grew out of that to where it just became pure OCD. I don't do those types of things anymore. But it was always when I thought back, there were quite a few things that I was like, oh yeah. But when he told me that, it just, you know, it was a relief. It was a relief to finally understand what this was. So I went and started doing my own research on it, to read more about it and to understand and learn from other people who had it. I was also put on first 50 milligrams of Zoloft or sertraline, which is the generic name. And then I had kind of another flare-up shortly after my therapy started with this psychologist, and I got bumped up to 100 milligrams. Now 50 worked fine at first, but 100 worked better. Now again, I don't want to say that's what any of you need out there. If you're talking to a doctor or somebody like that, they need to prescribe you what they think is best. This just happens to work for me. And I'm not saying it's a permanent band-aid. It's not. I just now, and this is why I'm making this video, the past 3 weeks I had a flare-up, and usually it's like clockwork anymore. This will happen like once a year. I hope and pray usually that it doesn't, you know, but it did. And usually my cycles with this run sometime, longest usually about 30 days. This one lasted 3 weeks, so almost 4 weeks. And it's exhausting because all you can do is think these crazy, goofy thoughts. I don't mean crazy as in bad, just so you know. But you just feel so tired because of the adrenaline, and eventually it kind of eases off at some points during the day or maybe at night, and you just feel drained because it's been going on constantly. It's, you know, like when you wake up, it's there, hi. And I noticed I was starting to get better in the past few days, because when I was really going through this again, I wasn't dreaming, and I always have dreams at night, usually that I can remember. And then finally, for the past 3 or 4 nights, I started dreaming again. So I could tell my brain was finally relaxing again. But I know it's hard. It's difficult to get through the day sometimes when all you want it to do is for it to go away. But for me, it does run its course, and I can't explain why. It just does. I know some people are afflicted with this every day, and if that's you, I'm sorry. I know how it feels, and it's unfortunate that we sufferers are often put in a spot of being afraid to talk about it. I would, you know, whenever I go through it, I, you know, would wish on myself a physical affliction, you know, like maybe I broke my arm or something like that, instead of going through it again, because even though I have a better handle on it now that I understand it and what it is and how it works, it doesn't make it any easier to go through it. It's always very hard. And I have a couple people I talk to. I'm not in therapy now. I'm still on my meds, but I'm not in therapy currently. There's a couple of people I talk to whom I've known for a long time that can be objective with me about it. That won't sit there and go, oh, it's going to be okay. Let me talk, and it's good to talk. It's good to talk about what's on your mind, and they can both handle what I have to talk about, the thoughts, the dark thoughts. And so it's good if you know someone that you can talk to like that, to do that, because I always find it a great relief to just be able to get it out, no matter how crazy it sounds, no matter how scary or spooky or dark, just to get it out and to sometimes when you verbalize it, your brain, at least mine, goes, wow, that's kind of silly when you say it out loud. When it's in your brain, it's very scary, and it is. But then sometimes when I start talking and going, well, I'm thinking about what if I did this or that or the other, and then hearing my voice say it, I kind of go, oh wow, that's not me at all, But it is good to talk, and I also write in a journal, which was funny this time. I didn't want to write in it, but I was encouraged to. So I pulled it out, and I read the stuff from one of the last times I went through this. And the entries were almost note for note the same of what I was going through this time. So I said, what's the point of writing anything? I'm looking at it, and that's exactly. But I went ahead and wrote a whole page. And I cried at the end. I read it out loud, and I cried. And it was so good to, crying when you have this. It's a good release. It's as good as talking or writing. It relieves the anxiety for me, to just let it out and not care. It's okay to cry. We're human, and this can certainly make you want to cry a lot, but it's good to write your thoughts down, to compare notes. But I know another thing that can cause a lot of stress and fear when you have this is not only the what ifs, but the trying to pick apart those thoughts, which is the compulsive part of having this, and then start thinking other things that go on top of the crap you're already thinking. Like, let's say, okay, what if I killed my best friend? And it's usually, for me and for other people I've heard talk about this, it's usually with a knife or something sharp. People have had to put their knives away because they don't want to be around them, and I've gone through that too. I threw a whole set one time. This was before I was diagnosed, just because it was like, oh, I don't want to be around that. What if I did that, even though I knew I wouldn't, deep down? You can tell your moral compass is in check if the fear is your moral compass saying, no, that's not you, this isn't you. That negative, horrific reaction to that horrific thought, that's actually a good thing. Even though it's scary, it's good that that's the reaction, that you're scared, because that shows that you're not, indifferent or whatnot. But here, let me say this. what I was going to say was thoughts piling on thoughts. You have the thought, what if I hurt, stab my best friend, whatever. And then you go, oh no, I wouldn't do that. I don't want to do that. And then you go, but what if I secretly do? That's your next thought. What if I secretly do? And then that scares you. And then that gets going in a loop. And then the next thing you know, you're thinking something like, God, what if I'm a serial killer? What if I have that in me? What if I really, that's what I desire most. This is what I've been fated to do. It's just been hiding. And now, this is what I want. This is it. I know it, but it's not. It's your OCD playing tricks on you again. And that's what's scary, because you have the one thought that's scary, and then you start worrying about all these other scenarios that aren't true, but feel true, because you're doubting yourself. Because the mind, part of your mind, is making you doubt yourself, even though you know, deep down, that you're not a bad person that's violent and wants to kill people. Some, psychotic, homicidal maniac. But it gets to that point where you start thinking these things. And so your brain just, the part of your brain that's kicked in on this OCD trip will just fuel that. And you'll sit around all day. And you'll talk to yourself either verbally, maybe, while you're by yourself, or in your head. And you'll think, that's not me, that's not me. I'm not that person. I'm not like that. I would never do that. But the OCD is making you doubt that. So you're trying to fight that all day long. And it's tiring. And I know it's tiring. And all I can say is that for me it does eventually abate and it goes away. And to where I can go, like today I had like a really good day. Yesterday I had a really good day. Today I can tell now that there were a couple times during this last cycle that I just got through that I thought I was more on top of it than I actually was, just because I wanted it to be over so badly. So some days I would have a decent day where I wasn't constantly thinking of the stuff, or I had a better handle on it. But then the next day would suck, because it would just come back full force, and that would I'd feel disappointed in myself and frustrated because it wasn't going away. The thing is, for me, and this is what I told my friends, I said, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 weeks. I'm just going to have to ride this out. And that's the crappy part about it, is you have to ride it out if you're like me, and it actually comes and goes. I'm not sure what it's like for someone who has it constantly, if you have times of relief or not. But today and today I could just tell it was gone away again, because I wasn't thinking things, and I'd catch myself, oh wow, I'm feeling good, and then I would purposely think, well, what about, and I'd go, just like any again normal person would shrug it off. And it just didn't faze me at all. I got through my day, and it was a good day, and I still feel good and calm. So it's a funny affliction in that it picks when it wants to start and when it wants to turn off. And mainly all you as the afflicted can do is sit there and let it have its way sometimes. I'm not saying don't try to, work with it. A lot of people say, things I've read say, go ahead and let the thoughts occur. Just say that, to yourself, it's just a thought, doesn't matter. And I know that's hard to do. It's hard for me to do. Because again, you start doubting yourself. Who cares? These are really horrible thoughts, But you can work with it. Even if it is difficult, and it is. But if you know deep down that it's just your brain goofing off for whatever reason, and that your moral compass is in check, you can get through it. no matter, you know, just every day you get through, that's another day you've gotten through it. And I know that might not seem like much, but it is because I know, you know, you get up in the morning, you might have those thoughts, and it's just a chore to go through the day. And every hour just kind of drags, and all you want to do is escape it or be back in bed or something like that where you don't have to deal with it. But if you work with it instead of against it and do things that you would normally do, if that means, you know, cleaning your house or going out and seeing a movie or going out to eat or going shopping or whatever you like to do, do that. Do that. Don't break your routine. I can at least tell you that. Don't break any routine, even if it sucks. Just so your mind knows that there's still life going on for you, and you do have routines, and routines are good, because sometimes you can get distracted, and you'll be surprised. You'll be like, wow, I wasn't, you know. And sometimes you won't. Sometimes it'll just be a bad day. But if you stick to what you would normally do, that's a good thing. I don't believe, you know, in wallowing in it, even though sometimes I do. I'll sit there for like an hour and just, oh God, think about this stuff. What am I going to do? And I know it's hard to drag your ass off the couch or out of your bed or whatever, you know, because all you want to do is just lay there. But if you get going and try your best to work through the day, or your fears or whatnot, it'll help. I love music. So I'll listen to music, or I'll try to create some music, or any old thing, you know. It goes with the writing. I like doing creative things. So I'll write, or I'll play music, or listen to it. Try to just get some inspiration. Feel that, you know, that spark again that we all have. And it's work. When this happens, it's work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy and you're going to go listen to some tunes and hey, it all went away. It's not going to. But you shouldn't stop doing the things you like doing just because this OCD is trying to freak you out. Because you are capable of doing those things. It's not debilitating in the physical sense. And like I said, if you have somebody you can talk to, spend some time with them and just talk to them. And you might find that 10 minutes is good. 10 minutes, you know, sometimes for me it's just calling out my friend and talking for like a couple minutes and just say, hey, kick me in the ass again. I know you can, you know, just tell me something. And they would, and I'd go, thank you, and hang up. And I wasn't, you know, 100%, but it felt good to talk to someone. So if you can do that, that's a good thing. Just to, like I said, get it out of your mind, or write, because when you see the words on the paper, it's getting it out. Or you can record them. You know, do something like this and just watch it for yourself or listen to it. It's not scary. It's actually, you know, it's to hear yourself say it, or the thoughts, or write them down and read them and see them, and just to have them out can be, you know, it can be cathartic. It's just good to have friends, or a friend, someone you trust, whom you can talk to. If you're you know, thinking about going to a psychologist or psychiatrist or someone like that, that's good. You just have to trust in the whole situation that you're not crazy, and the thoughts aren't real. They're just thoughts. You know, it's, 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 it's like thinking, it's no different from imagining good things, like, oh, I'm whatever, Spider-Man, secretly, whatever. I don't know, something you like to fantasize about, in a good fashion. It's no different from that. It's just the flip side of it. And when you're imagining good things, you go, okay, that's not real, but it'd be cool. So with the bad things, you can just go, well, that's not real, and it's not going to hurt me, because the thought's just a thought. It's not an action. No matter how many what ifs you pile on top of each other, they're still just thoughts, and they're what if thoughts. And even if you start, getting into the other ones that I was talking about, where, oh, I secretly want to, or I want to, which I've thought, I want to, I just went ahead and did it. I want to, hurt so-and-so. It wasn't true. It was just a thought. And that's all it is. And it's scary, but it's not indicative of the good person you are, that you are. So you don't have to be afraid. Nobody's going to lock you up for having these thoughts and talking about them. No one's going to an objective ear isn't going to cast any aspersions on you, because like I said, there's lots of us out there, and we all know what we're going through. And as I also said, it's sometimes easy to hide, but a lot of people have this problem. A lot of people have OCD, and it's unfortunate that we can't have a pill or something that just makes it all go away, like a headache, but it's something that, for whatever reason, happens. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. I just wanted to make this video once I started feeling good again. I was talking about doing it last week to my friend. And I just wanted to offer some support or some sort of advice, maybe. I don't know. But if you like, you can leave me some comments, ask some questions. I'll try to answer them for you. But just know that you can work through this, and for some of you might be like me, and it'll come and go. For those of you that deal with it daily, for a long stretch, you can work through it too. I know. I've been through all the dark thoughts and all the fear, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it is, but you can live a pretty good life, where it doesn't have to take over every minute of every day. But if you are seeking help, go for it, and try all the other things I mentioned, like the writing, or the talking to someone that you think could listen. But anyway, that's all I got, and I hope you get to feeling better if you are feeling down with this. Anyway, it's getting late. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day, good night, good morning, good evening, whenever you're watching this. You've got an OCD buddy right here if you need one. Talk to you later. Bye.